Did anyone else get a little bit of PTSD when Daru said, "I failed" in this episode? It reminded me of the OG scene from Steins Gate when Suzu failed, and she had it all over a paper like, "I failed, I failed, I failed." That's what it reminded me of. Can we talk about that glorious pickup line from Daru? That pickup line of "Moe Moe Kyun," I'm like, it was cringe. Like, I felt the cringe when that was done in this episode. I was like, oh, I felt that. Like, I legit felt that. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? You go, bro. You go, Daru. You've earned it. You definitely earned it after everything you have done in this episode, in the last episode, and actually the entirety of Steins Gate Zero. You've done a fantastic job. And, you know, I'm going to take a few moments just to talk about Daru and how he as a character has astounded me many times throughout this Steins Gate, series. See, in the original Steins Gate, Daru was always a cool character. He was always the super hacker and all that. He was really cool. He was a great character. I liked his personality, but he wasn't really dived into, expanded upon. The only thing that we really got expanded upon when it came to his character was Suzu being his daughter. There really wasn't a whole lot. And I like how Steins Gate Zero is kind of like fleshing out his character, letting us see who he really is and how he is being broken down. We get to see how this man is at his lowest and how he gets back up determined to make sure everything is right in the world. I just really love his character, especially with how this episode is depicting him. I know that many might not be a big fan of this episode because it didn't have a whole lot of sad scenes, I guess, compared to what we normally are used to, but I like how this episode was showing Daru, this character that honestly has always been important, but kind of stepping into the spotlight and showing that without him, we wouldn't have ever gotten the events of the original Steins Gate. We never would have gotten, the stuff that happened towards the end when Okabe took it upon himself to go to the Steins Gate world line. So when you see these events, it's like, it's thanks to Daru and how he decided to get determined to change the world as to why anything happened in the first place. I respect that. I like that. It's good writing. I just like how all of these characters kind of tie in to all the events that happened in the original series, which is one of the big reasons why I love this like sequel prequel type series of Steins Gate, just because, it allows me to appreciate just the world building. Now anyways, let's get into what this episode was mainly about, and that was Daru and Yuki's relationship. Now this is something that has been built up for honestly a while. Even in the original Steins Gate, this was built up. We always knew that, Daru had to eventually, get with Suzu's mother. We finally got to see how she is in Steins Gate Zero, and her group of friends and all of that, and I really have loved Yuki as a character. And this episode focusing on it might not be for everyone, because I know not everybody likes slice of life or likes, romance and stuff like that, and if you've been with me for a while, most likely you know my opinion on this type of content. I love romance, I love slice of life. Now, I do admit I don't always need romance, I don't always need slice of life, but I do like it from time to time, and this is actually very important. This is a very important piece, this episode for this series, because it ties in with Suzu. Suzu would not be here throughout Steins Gate Zero and the OG Steins Gate if it wasn't for Daru and Yuki's relationship. If that does not happen, then we won't have Steins Gate. That's not a possibility whatsoever. So this episode, it had to happen. It was critical for the story. And I really like how the way the events went down. It's thanks to Suzu to why Daru, her father, actually even got with her mother in the first place. It's kind of interesting when you think about how he continued to get pushed by his daughter, and eventually he kind of took it upon himself to go forward and try to get with her, and there you go. We got the end result of this episode. It's really sweet. It's just nice to see that little tie-in, and like how everything came full circle. If it wasn't for Suzu, the daughter, helping out her parents, then she would have never been born in the first place. I find that kind of cool. Speaking of which, let's talk about that flashback of Suzu's mother. Oh. Brutal. Brutal. I did not think I was going to see something like that in this episode. Like, when I started it, And, you know, we just see this relationship stuff going on. I'm like, okay, you know, we're getting a little bit of progression here. And then all of a sudden we get a flashback and you see what happened to Suzu's mother. Like, we've heard what happened. Like, we know through word of mouth and all that throughout the story that Suzu's mother got, you know, gunned down. She just got blown away. And that was the end. And we know Suzu got to see it. But visually seeing the flashback and how horrific it was, oh my god, like, you gotta imagine the damage to your mind if you were to see something like that. Like, imagine someone you love just having done to them like that in front of you. Oh. I mean, also when you look at the scene, it's just like, the way Suzu kind of caused it. She kind of did, because being a soldier, leading the drone, it caused it where her mother got, you know, ended. She got shot by, you know, the drone. So, I'm just absolute shock on that scene, the way that was done. I couldn't believe the way, how close it was. I figured maybe she had some distance or whatever, but just seeing how it was so close, and, like, the mother literally dived in front and, like, covered Suzu, I'm just like, oh my god. Like, she was legit covered in her own mother's blood. That's, whoo, that poor girl. I feel really bad for Suzu, which that is something I need to talk about. I've talked about it a few times throughout my reviews of Steins Gate Zero. Suzu as a character, she's a big mystery right now. Because when you think about Steins Gate Zero, and even the original Steins Gate, we know Suzu, from what we have heard, she's not in the future. She's not. Which makes me wonder what happens to this Suzu, the Suzu that, you know, came back in the past. What's going to happen to her in the darkest timeline, this world line that we're currently in? Is she going to die? Because when you think about it, she doesn't really have a whole lot of plot armor. And the reason why I say that is because technically we know she's going to get born. Like, she's going to be born by, you know, Yuki and Daru. You know, they're going to get together and have Suzu. But the Suzu that we've been with, she's on the chopping block. She could easily be kind of, you know, gone like that. And I'm kind of curious if they're setting something like that up with Kagura. If Kagura is actually going to do the unthinkable and kill Suzu. Which, oh, if that happens, oh my god. It really makes me wonder, like, how, you know, Daru would react to it, how Yuki would react if she found out, how Mayuri would react, or even, you know, just any of the characters. I'm very curious how they would react if they found out about that, if it does happen, or if, you know, that doesn't happen. You know, the whole black hole thing, how if she was time leaping and all that, and, you know, the fuel ran out in the middle of it, she might be internally, like, you know, floating out there in space or whatever. It really makes you wonder, the way this has been set up, you know, Suzu has a lot of death flags, and the way her character is right now, I do wonder, like, what's the purpose of her character, because you can see by the way the episode's depicted, is that she's about to make her journey. She's about to, you know, take the time machine and go back into the past. So, is it going to go right? Is it going to go wrong? I'm very curious on what's going to happen. Obviously, if she does do anything, Okabe, he's going to detect it because of, you know, reading Steiner, but we'll find out when those events come to pass. Now, anyways, let's also talk about the brainwashing machine we got. So, Daru got brainwashed in this episode. Now, obviously, it wasn't permanent, and it wasn't, like, you know, everlasting, like Kagura's is, but we get to see an extension to brainwashing. The entire theme of the story was expanded upon with that, and we kind of get the, I'm assuming, precursor to the device that eventually messes with Kagura's mind. And it was very surprising with how effective it was on Daru, of all people. I just, like, someone that acts like he does, as, like, you know, someone that loves moe, he likes lollies and all that type of stuff, just seeing how he changed kind of an attitude, like he did, it was pretty disturbing. And when you see Suzu's reaction, you gotta imagine she's probably having some PTSD there, because, like, she's seen her friends and family and all that getting brainwashed in the future, so that has to be horrible just to see something like that. But it makes me wonder now, since that's obviously a connection to the brainwashing machine. It's an obvious connection. Seriously, you would honestly have to not be paying attention to notice that. It makes me wonder, is that brainwashing machine, is that a prototype to what is going to be in the future, or is that like an early version and there's already better versions in this timeline? Because think about it like this. We know that Kagura is still getting manipulated somehow. She's still in someone's pocket, which most likely is the professor that, you know, Okabe was talking to throughout this entire episode. I don't trust that man now. I really don't, especially since he's affiliated with the hospitals. He even says that in this episode, that he's affiliated with the hospitals. It's more and more likely that he is going to be the main antagonist of the story, at the very least for Steins Gate Zero. And so I'm wondering if the device, the brainwashing device, is kind of already complete, or, you know, it's just a, you know, I guess a little alpha version of it, or if Maho is going to be able to make it even better. I'm very curious, because that's another thing. Maho has access to that device. Is she the reason why that device even pops up in this timeline in the first place? Like, was she the creator of it? Because we do know that she's, trying to make a time leap machine, and she's got to be able to access the mind and memories and all that, so for all we know, she might accidentally create a brainwashing device. Now that would be pretty interesting if that's where the story wants to go. That instead of her creating a time machine, she creates a brainwashing device that is used against him. And it also makes you wonder, would Maho, you know, will she work with them? Is she knowing what she's making? Or is, you know, she going to get killed before everything is done in this, you know, the events to come? I'm really curious about that, because that's not clarified at all. But there's a lot of questions I have, especially now after seeing that device that was used on Daru in this week's episode. But I think that's pretty much about it. The only thing really left to talk about, I guess, is towards the end with Kagura popping up. It makes you wonder if Suzu's going to make it or not, so we'll find out when the next episode arrives. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. Because for some reason, if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. So if you want to get notified for when I upload a new video for any series, click the bell icon down below. With that, I love you guys. Chibi out.